Are you guys pumped? David, what are you most excited about this
I'm most
movie?
excited about spectacle and just the fact that we haven't seen a Superman movie since '06, and a lot of people didn't like it.
I'm looking forward to the Terrence Malick cinematography in his childhood.
Yeah, Watchmen had some really cool shots. I'm excited about the soundtrack because I think Hans Zimmer's going to bring it.
You know what I'm excited about? I'm honest. I'm excited to see a Superman movie where he punches something.
Like if they just said like knights would used to wear this on Krypton, like a line like that would have made me feel better. So I created a line for myself as I watched the movie.
Hey everybody, we just saw Man of Steel. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. We went to a midnight show. We didn't do any of that critic press screening.
No, we paid for our tickets.
We're men.
To go see Zack Snyder's magnum opus.
Yes.
Saw it 3D.
We did. We saw 3D, not
You're
IMAX.
supposed to return those.
Okay.
But
That's why 3D tickets cost so much, because of guys like you.
let's talk a little bit.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm David.
Before we cut into everything about the film, did we like the movie? I didn't really like this movie.
I enjoyed it. It didn't live up to the promise that amazing trailer did, which is kind of indicative of a Zack Snyder kind of thing. He makes amazing trailers and his movies kind of underwhelm. I will say that the gap is being closed. It was closer
Really?
than the Watchmen gap, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. But certainly, I've heard claims that it's the best superhero movie ever made. I do not think that's true at all.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's the best superhero movie ever made, but if you want a Superman movie that does something new and it does it with a very Dark Knight feel, that's this movie, and I did enjoy it.
So it's new for Superman, but it's not
Definitely
new
for Superman. I hear a lot of buzz about Justice League, but I didn't really think about that when I was watching it, but it kind of seemed like, this is definitely the biggest movie of the year, and like you can tell because like the third act just goes, it's like pure like
Destruction.
money. Like the visual effects are outstanding though.
The trailers really play up. A lot of people have been talking about like the Terrence Malick aspect of it with a really shallow focus on artistic shots. That is in there, but it doesn't like take prominence over everything
it's like
else.
20% of
There
the
is a
movie.
really natural feel to the movie. They kind of play like with what Superman would be like in a real world though, which is cool. It's Zack Snyder. He brings a lot of his visual flair to it, but honestly, I think it's a pretty restrained Zack Snyder. I thought he brought like stuff to the action that was innovative and like kind of him, but also not like what we'd expect in terms of random slow-mo and stuff like that. I always felt like I had a good beat on what was going on while he was covering the action really interestingly.
We can't just hark on J.J. Abrams for being the lens flare guy anymore. Because he saw Star Trek, and boy, did he see Star Trek. Not only does he do the lens flare thing, but he does that thing where, because it's a fully CG shot, in order for you
dust
to...
in.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
the
dust,
dust
and there's a
and sand.
million zooms.
So the first 20 minutes or so take place on Krypton.
Yeah.
And that was
Which is the best
some of my favorite
sequence.
parts
Yeah, I
of the
agree.
movie.
It was
It had
my
sort of an
favorite.
Avatar feel too with that flying dragon.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not like the Marlon Brando Jor-El where they're just standing around in a room. I mean, it's action-packed. It keeps your attention the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and it's really expansive. Like what they show of Krypton, the geography and topography is really, really interesting and new. And Russell Crowe is really good in this movie.
He is. He's the best thing about the movie. He's a
Yeah,
great
he's a great actor. Michael Shannon, who appears really early and is obviously kind of our villain. He's General Zod. He appears throughout. Also very strong. It was really weird to see him in this kind of role.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to
Playing a
seeing him
crazy
in these.
person.
Well, that's not weird, but it was weird to see him in like a movie this big where he actually punches somebody. But I thought he pulled it off. He was really, odd and threatening. He brought his Michael Shannon flair to it. They're trying so hard to put set pieces in so often
Yeah.
that one starts to wonder, although he's from an alien planet growing up on Earth, like a lot of stuff seems to happen around and to Clark Kent.
That's true. Like, he sees
Like,
an
and
oil rig
also-
destroy. He's a part of
Yeah.
a bus,
Also,
school
the
bus.
way that they kind of
Tornadoes.
pitch these things that are happening around him. The tornado, I'll buy. They're in Kansas and stuff, and bad things happen. But the bus accident, which is kind of featured in the trailer, they're just driving, and then the tire blows out, and it's like, no, of course the tire blows out, and the bus goes over a bridge. That's what happens here. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like there's no time to build up to it. There's no sense of dread.
It's like they cut out a lot, especially with that oil rig. He's like, oil rig, let's save him. Let's move on to the next scene. It's just kind of like,
nothing.
Like an auctioneer kind of was
No,
the
no.
editor. Like, let's just keep going.
There's this weird sense of like nothing meaning anything. It's just a set piece to get to the next set piece, like you said.
And I wanted those big emotional moments because that trailer kind of hints at these big emotional moments. And even when those moments come in the movie, there's other action happening over them, or they end way too quickly, or there's no build up to them, so you never really get to feel the movie.
Or yeah, like you said before, there's so much obvious text to it that you feel so manipulated you can't allow it to really resonate with you.
Yeah,
it's nothing. There is one of these things I don't like. One of the things I really don't like about the movie is that this is a bleak and cold universe where there's just simple cause and effect. There's nothing interesting about any of these characters. Like Russell Crowe gives a really good performance for what he has. Henry Cavill, looks the part to me.
He certainly does.
I think he was robbed the opportunity a lot like Brandon Routh. He was robbed the opportunity to really get into a meaty Superman role or Clark Kent role. Amy Adams completely wasted. She says things that have an immediate cause and effect to the plot. There's nothing else about her character. There's nothing else about any of these characters. These are characters I would not want to have a drink with. These are the characters I would not want to, like, if I saw them, they would just sit there until the next plot point would have to come over.
Yeah.
That they would have to move
I think
over.
Henry Cavill is awesome as Superman. I think he has more dialogue than Brandon Routh did in Superman Returns. I especially love the scene in the bar when he gets like the beer thrown at him.
I really like that scene.
Everyone's like rooting for him just to punch the guy, but he's still like that's what makes him Superman. He's such a Boy Scout, and like they kept that in the movie. I think just like visually, he almost looks like they drew him. Like he looks so.
He does look.
He
the
looks
part.
like an
like
Alex
a
Ross
statue
painting.
that came to life.
He looks
like,
exactly like an Alex
Yeah.
Ross drawing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking watching Superman and Lois Lane's relationship, I was thinking, this is sweet. It's like two 13-year-olds. And then I was like, wait a second. This is like two 13-year-olds. So it worked on one level and completely,
Okay,
utterly
compared to
failed
like
on
Katie
another.
Holmes and Christian Bale, I did not like that.
I'm going to say something a little brave.
Okay.
A lot of the movie's problems, I don't blame Zack Snyder. That's right. I think he did
David
a fine
S.
job.
Goyer.
This is who I blame. David S. Goyer.
I
Now,
can't
I'm going to say
disagree.
something. I'm going to backtrack and save myself, and then I'm going to elaborate. The story is by David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan. Those guys are story men. David S. Goyer
are
especially
story men.
is a story man. He comes up with great stories. He collaborates with people wonderfully. The screenplay was written by David S. Goyer, and the dialogue borders on embarrassing at times.
The dialogue is terrible.
There are some
I
moments,
said there's no subtext in this movie. This movie is all text.
Yeah, he's
it's
like-
just text. It's everything they say is just right on the nose.
One thing I do think that this film benefits from is really embracing the sci-fi. quality.
That's for sure true. Like they really, I mean, Superman's an alien. Like all
getting
Kryptonians
around
are
that.
aliens, and they literally just call him an alien over
Yeah.
and over
There's a lot of
again.
spaceships too.
Does it seem like they were making this movie, like they were benefiting from knowing what's been successful in huge blockbusters of the
That's
last
it. I-
6 years
I-
or whatever?
honestly,
Like they opened
yeah.
it and it was obvious. They were like, that opening of Star Trek seemed to work really well. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And then they were like, people like flying things in Avatar. Let's do that. They like the dark tone in the Dark Knight movies. Let's do that. And
Yeah.
it just felt like this mishmash
I
of
completely
like what's
agree.
been
Yeah.
successful.
Even the iconography, like the Matrix babies, like
Yeah.
just a lot of things
And the
that seem to be
Transformer,
stolen.
like in Transformers 3, let's
Yeah.
have a building cut in half.
Yeah, that does
Yeah,
happen.
that happens like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And even the helmets look like the Alien/Prometheus.
Yeah.
Space jockey.
Superman is always such a tough character for them to nail, and I still don't think they've completely gotten it.
I don't think. I think they're still the definitive Superman movie is yet to be made.
As far as showing loneliness, I mean, I know in interviews Zack Snyder said there's no kryptonite. This kryptonite is sort of alienation and loneliness. I think that's really well done.
Let's talk about the climax of the film.
The last quarter of the film.
The big
Very,
action.
very violent.
Yeah.
Very
Which
violent.
doesn't mean it's bad or good. It's just not usual of a Superman movie.
See, I have to say, and this is completely a thing that makes me stupid and whatever. I have weird morality issues when it comes to this stuff. But George Lucas used to say it's actually easy to do drama. All you have to do is choke a cat. And I feel like blockbusters these days go for the choking of the cat when it comes to 9/11 imagery. And I think they kind of abuse it. The millions of people that die in this movie, I didn't feel any weight to them dying. I
At
didn't
least
feel.
in Avengers, they show some like news footage of like,
Yeah.
and now we're fixing the New York City.
And
stuff like
Star
that.
Trek is a movie that the last Star Trek, Into Darkness, is a movie that I think also kind of abused this choking of the cat, which is, ooh, easy drama. I'm just gonna evoke 9/11 imagery to you, and then you're gonna feel something because we all remember where we were that day. And I like whether you say like is just destroying buildings 9/11 imagery. Well, it is post 9/11. No matter what, there's a scene too that and it just felt completely bleak to me. And you look at The Dark Knight with a couple barrels of gasoline and some gunpowder. Like a handful of people die in that movie.
It's true. The
Yet
body
there's
count
so
of
much.
this movie is
It's
It's
gargantuan.
It's just
Too much.
insane. It's
Gargantuan.
just insane. And like in The Dark Knight, there was so much fear and emotional heft and darkness and weight to it. It earns every step of the way, and it takes life seriously. It takes the loss of life seriously. And in a movie like this or Into Darkness, so many people die that it's just like whatever. Like okay, this has no weight anymore. It's just to the point of ridiculousness to me.
A lot of people die in the fictional world of the movie in that last act. They are not given the credence that fictional people dying fictionally deserve.
I do-
But man, does a lot of stuff blow up.
yeah, it's you're
And does
basically,
it like I've never seen so much destruction in 30 minutes of film as there were in this 30 minutes of film. It's just from a pure execution craft standpoint, it's really impressive how much action is actually put into that final climax. You think it's over. Like you think it's over and then
Zod
there's a
shows
whole
up and
other
it's like,
character for them to take care of. And then at one point, they were fighting in Metropolis. I didn't know that there was any Metropolis left to knock over, and I thought, I hope they go into space now. What'd they do next? Went straight into space,
Right.
and he threw a satellite at him.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Whose satellite was that?
It was
Wayne
Wayne
Enterprises.
Enterprises satellite. So there's Justice League. Although I wouldn't want to see Justice League in this
I don't
world.
in
care
this
about
world,
this
I don't know how you could
universe.
put Batman in. That's definitely we should probably discuss that.
Yeah,
So,
this universe.
This is
so,
a universe that you could have Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, certainly. Flash, I don't know how you're gonna like Flash. He runs around.
Yeah, he's
Right.
too
And then-
fun.
Yeah, and then Batman is just way too grounded in reality, and I can see like Christian Bale being like, "Well, I'm just gonna sit here because I can't jump up into space. I can't get hit by a freight train."
But literally, if you did a Justice League movie without adjusting this universe whatsoever, it would just be square-jawed men brooding in rooms. And everybody would just be angry and
So-
it'd be dark and no one would have a good time.
Okay, in conclusion, I enjoyed the film. However, it just felt very similar to Amazing Spider-Man or The Dark Knight, where they're all trying to do this sort of broody superhero movie based in reality, and that's still good. But remember when like Batman Begins came out and like revolutionized, like every movie since then. Still kind of waiting for a revolutionary superhero movie. Avengers it is revolutionary, but I was hoping for maybe something a little bit different, a little less predictable. But I still really liked the movie.
I enjoyed the movie. I wish that there was more emotional heft to it. I wish it had been left to breathe. I wish that it was like the 2.5-hour version of that amazing trailer that they
Yeah.
released. It didn't quite get there for me, but at the same time, just from an execution standpoint, I thought the action was really, really great, and I thought some of the performances were really good, even though they were fighting against writing.
I didn't really care for the film. I'm sorry. I do think it was ambitious. I do think Zack Snyder genuinely tried to do something out of his comfort zone, and he should be applauded for that. I just don't think it landed, and I think he should stop making movies that try to say something, because he can't say anything. It never earns any of the emotionality that it claims to have. It never earns any of the intelligence or any of the kind of theological aspects that it claims to have. It just kind of builds all that up and then just executes a action sequence or action set pieces that just go on and on and on and have no weight emotionally to me. And I was a little bit disappointed by that.
All right. Let us know what you think. You're seeing it this weekend. The world's seeing it this weekend. So comment below. Let us know what you think of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
Yep.
Written by David S. Goyer, story by Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer. Anyway, thank you for joining us. It's very late, and I'm tired. And I'm Ryan.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm David.
Thanks for watching.
I do like movies.